welcome to Espace Tricot's podcast number 17. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Melissa, and we're a yarn store located in Montreal, Quebec, here in Canada. And this is the first podcast we're recording since we've returned from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which was a blast, you guys. We had such a great time. And of course, as you know, we were gone for almost 2 weeks, so we have lots to tell you.
2 weeks minus a day. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was quite a nice trip. To say the least.
It was a dream. It was a dream from beginning to end. I mean, we covered a lot of ground. We did a lot of walking. We met a lot of people. And
didn't do that much knitting.
Surprisingly little knitting.
Surprisingly little. Because you know why? Because we were really good on Instagram.
Is that why it was taking up? Getting into all our knitting
our
time.
staff
it doesn't
is
seem to affect anybody else.
No, but I don't know. I guess we can't do two things at once. But our staff is like, guys, you got to Instagram this time. And we're like, okay. We had it in our head. We had to Instagram. But remember those nights we'd be at the hotel. We'd bring our knitting down.
And then we were like, got to do these posts. Let's post this, post that.
And then it's like it 2, 3 in the morning.
I know. I think we're just really slow at it. This is Lisa and I.
We're not one of those youngins,
we're late to Instagram, and exactly.
But at least we did it.
We did it, and hopefully that was fun for those of you who followed us on our travels and kept up with where we were in the world.
Yeah, it was nice to see, all the comments from people, and it's funny because now we have like a lot of the same people comment over and over, so you sort of feel like you get to know them, and you're following each other around the world, and we're visiting places and seeing things that people had already seen and giving us tips and
telling
comments.
us where to go, and you must see this and you must see that. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Took some pieces of advice actually,
and it was good for us too because since we moved back, we really haven't had time to just be together. As friends and knitters, and not business partners. No, exactly. Everyone thinks that when we're together, we just talk business, but we actually don't. We have to force ourselves.
In fact, we had a 10-minute business meeting on our way back on the plane. We're like, okay, we're gonna do this. Yes, we're gonna do this. Okay, high five. We can write off this trip.
Yeah, and I think that for us was the most fun.
Yeah.
Just to be together and hang out and just like lay in bed together and knit and
if you think
watch
about it,
Netflix.
the last 6 months have been really, really hard. They've been crazy with you breaking your wrist and me sort of, moving back from the States, and my husband's still there. And happy news, just as an update on that front, my husband is actually moving back to Montreal today. So, we've moved into our new place. I'm still surrounded by boxes, but I feel like, yes, it's home, and now I can settle down and get my wits about me and just be able to focus a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
In a less stressed state,
Yeah, and have everything in one place and not going back and forth and settled. And
because all our stuff was still in our house down in New Jersey, and Tristan and I were just hanging out at my sister's, and it's not ideal when you're not in your own space. My sister is amazing, and I can't thank her enough for putting up with us. But it was longer than expected, and anyway,
it's all good now.
We're happy. That period has come to a close.
I know. So I think the trip was good because it sort of
punctuated the end of
that phase and allowed us to kind of reconnect and do our thing and all that. So it was really good on many levels, and just to not be to change.
Scenes.
Change scenes, like changer les idées, like we say in French, and the weather, though the weather was not that great when we were over there.
It was cold.
But at least it was warmer than it was here. It was cold. Yeah, ish.
I don't even know.
I mean, I really...
Scotland it shocked me.
Yeah, the wind. Yeah,
we
were waiting for a taxi, and the cones on the street were blowing across. It was a little bit...
And it snowed while we were there.
Yes, it did. And very windy, it chilled. And then everyone's making fun of the Canadians who are cold.
The coldest.
We weren't expecting that, We were expecting...
So we're used to a dry... cold.
We're always trying to find excuses of why the weather's affecting us. But no, it was good, and just to get out of the routine and not be in mommy wife kind of house mode and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just to be completely indifferent and we're not responsible for anybody but ourselves, which was
great. You're right. Yeah. That I think that sums it up.
Yeah. and what do we want to do next, right?
I know.
What will give us the most pleasure in the next moment? Room service? Wine? Netflix? yarn, knitting,
yeah,
visiting with people.
Yeah, and we're really good travelers together.
Yeah, we are.
Like 2 weeks.
We got off the plane, we're like, 2 weeks, we still like each other.
Yeah, and not one argument, not one pepin, not one uncomfortable moment.
I don't think we've ever had an argument.
I don't think so.
Not like a real...
No.
Didn't
Never.
Speak to each other for a couple days or...
Maybe some disagreement with what we want to... Not even.
I can't think of it.
I don't think so either. Because we're just... We give each other... We have like a trust in each other and a respect for each other that if one really believes in something, then the other one is just like, okay.
Yeah, and even if we disagree about stuff, for example, bring it to the story. Personal. It's not a personal thing. It's just we make a case and that's it.
And that's it.
Not,
we go or we don't. Yeah. Even like on our trip, it's like, oh, do we want to go here? I don't know. Should we go? I don't really want to go, but if you want to go, we'll go. Oh, okay, whatever. So it's really, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
Anyway, so should we get into a little summary?
A little more
overview?
Meat.
Yeah.
So let's first talk about the Edinburgh Yarn Festival.
Okay, so that was quite something, just getting on the plane. The movers dumped all my stuff into my house on a Monday, and we were on a plane on a Tuesday. So it was amazing that I was able to pack and find my stuff.
Yeah.
But we made it. I think when we got on that plane, we actually looked pretty strung out.
We were it was like, just it's like once you got on the plane, everything else just kind of fell behind.
Yeah, and Lisa was so lucky. She got 3 seats in a row. She slept all the way. And I
laid out.
See like this.
You had 1.5 because we
No, I had a person beside me.
No, you had the middle seat free because we had a strategy.
Yeah, that's right.
Melissa's like, let's pick this row because if I take the aisle, who's going to take the middle, and then you take the one on the other side of the aisle. I'm like, okay, but there were still 2 seats, so somebody could have taken.
So you lucked out.
I lucked out, but it was your strategy, which was hilarious. So I laid out. I had 3 pillows. I had 3 blankets.
And
it was lovely. And you didn't sleep awake.
Anyway, so we landed and we went straight to our hotel.
Yeah.
And did we go straight to the hotel?
Well, we were like a layover in Heathrow for many hours.
Oh yes!
Right?
Oh my God!
So that was
how can I forget? So we laid over in Heathrow.
Mm-hmm. You napped on that in the airport. I went walking around.
Lisa went to all her high-end luxury,
some eye candy for some eye candy.
All those stores you were hoping to have a look at, and I lay down like a bag lady on a booth
on a bench.
And it was hilarious because I must have fallen asleep for about an hour.
Yeah.
And this is what happened when I woke up. I opened my eyes and I see Kate and Rachel from Spin Cycle Yarn sitting directly in front of me. And they don't know me, but I was like, it's the Spin Cycle ladies. And they're like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And I just started, it was just gibberish that came out next. And then I had to go and find you because I was mortified. Anyway, so that was how I woke up. And then we got on a plane and headed up to
Edinburgh.
Yep.
And went to our hotel. And it was a nice hotel. It was very sweet. It was great location. There were nice coffee shops and restaurants around. And it was fun because Christy Glass was staying there with her gang from her friends from New York.
Yeah. So we had a nice big gang. Yeah. So we had people to hang out with and knit with every evening and to taxi back and forth with to the corn exchange.
That was really fun. We shared taxis mostly with Dinah from the Knitting Place
and Leslie
Les Knits. So that was fun. It was kind of nice because there were a lot of people, and then you just came and went with whoever was there
available. And then we always like I said, we hung out in the evenings and had dinners and and we actually on the Thursday we went to, that was our first day at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, right? Yeah. So we went to the Corn Exchange in the morning, and because we were podcasters, we didn't have to wait in that long line.
It was a little bit like a vedette.
You're right. That was
it's a nod to Christy Glass.
The benefits of being part of the podcaster lounge. So we were able to slip in, which was nice because it was cold that morning, and I was cold.
And poor Dinah didn't get a ticket, so she had to wait in line from the Knitting Place. So I gave her my coat.
Yeah. That's right.
She hung out and she waited an hour. So that was pretty tricky for people who didn't have an advanced, even if you didn't have an advanced ticket, you had to wait in line and you had to get there for 9. So it was an hour wait.
Yeah. And then of course people line up early to ensure that they can get a ticket. So it was tough because it was unusually cold. Anyway, so we went in and we
It was kind of like, oh my God, okay, we have 1 hour. We had advanced entry.
Right. So before the doors opened to the general public, we had an hour. But I mean, it went by. We just sort of ran around like chickens, right?
Like, what do we see first? What do we get? What do we want before everyone else comes?
I think the very first thing we did was we bought the Edinburgh Yarn Festival pins.
Yes. Do you have
for everyone on our staff?
Yeah, so
it's a very pretty pin.
It is, and it was basically something we could bring back that didn't take a lot of space.
That didn't take a lot of space and a lot of weight. Exactly.
I have a lot of staff, so it was a nice little compact gift.
Yeah, so we got those, and then we just wandered around. I think we just took it easy, right?
Yeah, we did.
We stopped at the West Knits booth. We went to the La
Yeah, we had a little chat with Stephen,
and
took some vedette pictures.
Exactly, and then we had actually forgotten that we had made arrangements to go for lunch. So at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
We had to head out.
We did the Podcaster Lounge. We did the Podcaster Lounge at noon that day. And then at 2 o'clock, we headed out to meet some friends for lunch at the Witchery, which is a very cool restaurant.
It was very nice.
With a great ambiance, great vibe.
Very Scottish.
Interior. Yeah. And so we did that. And then we didn't go back.
No, we didn't go back.
Oh, that's not true. It was the Big Knit Night that night.
The Big Knit Night.
Yeah.
So we did.
So we went back to the hotel, and then we went back
to the Big Knit Night.
To the Big Knit
and that
Night,
was really interesting. There were it was like a big room, and then they had lots of tables, and people were just, can we sit here? And people were just sitting. And was that they had plates of charcuterie, I think, too, eh? Really nice on a wood board with cheese and charcuterie, and there was wine. I mean, it's
what
so
I laughed
civil.
about it was like a Big Knit Night. But I didn't see that many people knitting. People were so happy just to be together and, see people that either they wanted to meet or hadn't,
Well, people that you
were meeting again.
Like there's people that you meet online and through the internet and Instagram, and then you're finally meeting them in person, or people that you've met at other festivals that you reconnect. So people were kind of going around table to
milling
table.
around
and I mean, it's like you could tell you're in Europe, like there's like, wine and beer, and there's like, beautiful presentation of the food. And it was just, you could get an espresso and a cappuccino, which was really nice. So
there was also just a great vibe. I mean, everybody was just so happy to be together.
Yes.
I felt like it, even though the marketplace had been open that day, and I assume there were lots of classes and that kind of thing going on as well, it felt like the opening of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival.
Yeah, it was a great idea. What was nice about this festival, I found, is that, you had the marketplace and classes, but you had these events that brought everybody together, which was nice. You had, and then, so we had the Big Knit Night. Then we had the Kaylee
on the next night.
And so it was a way for people to come together and do social activities and not just be about a class or shopping.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what is pretty unique about this one.
Yeah,
because if you think about the Rhinebeck,
there are no events. There are classes.
I mean, it's much bigger, so I guess that makes sense. It's probably difficult to organize, but despite the fact that this felt like a smaller and very sort of intimate festival, there was a lot on offer. There was actually, we were like, are we going to be able to do 3 days here? But still, we were there every day for 3 days, and there's so much that we missed. Yeah. Right?
I know, after we're like, we didn't see that, we didn't see this.
When we were talking to people afterwards about what they bought and what they saw and what were the highlights for them, we were like, didn't see that. Didn't see that, missed that. So we have to go back again next year.
Of course, I think so. And the Podcaster Lounge, too, was really nice because it was in an area where people would go for lunch. So there was sort of a room where there was, I guess a little restaurant, a bistro type thing. And then there was a loungy area with couches and chairs. And it was really nice because it was sort of informal. It wasn't like this thing like, you have to go sit at a table and meet people. Yeah. So that I found added to the ambiance of a place to go. So you can go and have lunch and talk to other people. And we met so many podcasters that we follow. And then we met people who follow us. And we're always a little taken aback when people come and say, I love you, we follow you.
And there were so many people I saw that I was just too shy to go and introduce myself to.
I know.
It's ridiculous. One day I'll get over that. But it was fun to meet the people that we did. And and to have people just come up to us. So it was very civilized, and if everyone was so polite, and it was a different vibe even than Rhinebeck. It's just that North American versus European differences in terms of approach.
Yes.
And there are just positive things about both, but you could go to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and feel like nobody knows you in a way, even though they do, even though you get emails later from people saying, oh, I saw you and wish I had,
People are a little more reserved, I would say.
And they don't want to bother, you get the impression that they don't want to bother you or, interrupt you but it was, and we had a few really...
Yeah, I mean, we should just say a little shout. I mean, we're always... Yes, exactly. we're nervous about forgetting people, but Ali in particular was just the sweetest woman who she called herself a fisher wife?
A fishwife.
A fishwife. Yeah. And which she comes from.
But I think she really was. She really was a fisherman's wife.
I don't normally look like this, and I'm in my wellies and my raincoat and stuff, and
Where was she from?
Somewhere where her husband's a fisherman. I think from the north.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all like sort of becomes convoluted because you meet so many people. But she popped in to see us quite a few times, and then we ran into somebody who she gave a ticket to at H+H.
Yeah.
So, who said, oh my God, Ali told me that if I see you, I have to take a picture with you.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to say a special little hello to her, but thank everybody else who really, it touched us so much. Like we just kind of, the first day we walked in and we're like, oh, I don't know, what do we do? Where do we stand? Where do we sit? Okay, let's talk to each other.
Exactly.
We were so awkward. But then right away, we just, we started talking to people and they started
started, and people were, as we said, just so warm and genuine and said such beautiful things to us. I mean, Ali made me cry.
Yeah,
right?
It was really, really touching.
Yeah, just to feel that, what we're doing here is being watched in people's living rooms.
Exactly. And it's helping people with whatever they need. Yeah. And we met a couple of people, different people who said, oh, you're from Montreal. Did you know Diana Wallace moved to Montreal? We're like, I know, she works for us. So that was pretty funny. And then there was another group of women from Dubai.
Oh, yes.
Who knew Chloe.
Yeah.
Chloe's mom.
They were quite a big group that came.
They were quite a big group. Because some of them, I think, had moved and then they all met.
Okay.
So Chloe was like, when I said, oh, Chloe, we met some people know your mom. She goes, I know, my mom
Chloe's
told me.
our weekend manager.
So, I mean, really such a small world.
Yeah.
And it was fun, too, we wanted to also give a special nod out to Dinah from the knitting place. We met Dinah our first TNNA at the retailer's luncheon.
Yes.
We sat next to her. We came over and we were like, oh, is this table free? She's like, yeah. So she had been already in business for over 10 years. Yeah. Because now she's 20 years in business.
Yeah.
And she just took us under her wing and showed us the ropes. And we never made plans to meet, but every TNNA.
Are you talking about at the TNNA she did that?
Oh, yeah, the first TNNA.
Yeah, the first TNNA. Yeah, thank God for Dinah.
Thank God. And then we never made plans to meet, but we would run into her at every other TNNA.
Year. Yeah.
Vogue Knitting. Rhinebeck. We just bump into each other. So this time we're like, okay, let's make a point. So
that was nice as we were staying at the same hotel. Yeah. So we just got to spend a lot of time together. And
then, it was fun. It was really fun.
And what was really good is that she was also coming to H+H.
Yeah.
Because she owns, I know you've mentioned already, but the knitting place in Long Island. And so she was going as a retail owner as well. And so we were able to meet up with her again and her husband
It was lovely. Yeah. Such a sweet guy.
Anyway, I just wanted to show Dinah's pin, the knitting, because we got that while we were there. And also, look, did you see they had buttons made, Lise, of her and Pam?
Oh, yeah.
So Dinah and her friend Pam also have a podcast. Mm-hmm. So that one is worth, they knit beautiful, beautiful things. Yeah. So definitely
She's definitely like a expert up there.
Yeah.
Expert puts us to shame, totally.
She does a lot of designing as well, too. So.
And so it was kind of nice because what is fun for us when we travel is we put on so many hats. So, we love talking to the designers and understanding how they come up with their concepts, and we dabble very, very slightly into design, also talk to fellow podcasters and talk about how that works. And then we're knitters, so just people who are there to retail shop and take classes and talk about that. And then also the business side, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's so nice to share that with Dinah because, we have
a lot. Yeah.
We have a lot of a different clientele, but a lot in common and a lot of the same tastes, Yeah. So when we were at H+H, for example, she's like, oh, did you see this booth? We're like, no, we missed that one. So, and then we're like, oh, did you go see this one? So it's so nice. And we just wanted to say, Dinah, we loved sharing with you and spending time with you.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was really great.
Yeah. So, and then there was the Kaylee, which was a hoot.
The Kaylee was so fun.
Knitters are like game for anything.
Right?
They are like up there. Like the dance floor was packed.
I danced once.
You did.
I danced once. It was, I think that you would have to really give that a lot of energy.
Yes.
And commitment.
And say you're going to do it.
And
a few drinks, maybe.
And in my case, maybe. and just, not care. Not care.
Yeah, exactly.
Up, right?
Exactly.
Because, it was, so there was a great band and they were calling all the dance.
They were so good.
Yeah, they were really great. Yeah. And there were, everybody was, there were people who were on the dance floor for every single, I'm pretty sure that Andrea and Andrew of the Fruity Knitting Podcast.
Oh, they were up there.
I don't think they missed one.
Well, she even had her Scottish, dress on, and she was like, they were like perfect.
And probably Christy and Stephen West.
They were up there.
They were up there probably.
Dinah and Katie from Katrinkles. They danced together. Yeah. They did a dance, and then Naomi,
she was an employee of ours or a consultant who worked here, and she is now doing a textile degree in Scotland. Mm-hmm. In Edinburgh, right?
Yeah,
in Edinburgh. So she'll be wrapping up soon and coming back to Montreal. Yeah. So hopefully we'll have her back in the store with us. But it was great to catch up with her as well.
It was, and it was great. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, Lisa, why aren't you going? You did Highland dancing." But because of my wrist is still, even though it's been a long time, when you're holding people like this and you're moving around, I even get nervous shaking people's hand because some people have a strong handshake. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
I think that's all a likely excuse, Lisa. You never did Highland dancing.
It's all. I'll bring my.
It's all a ruse.
It's all a ruse. But that just brought an energy that was quite intense, and intense in a good way, totally super positive. And then we sat with, it was nice because Paula and Andrea were there from MacLeod, and we had met Paula several times, but never her partner, Andrea. So we sat at their table.
Or her husband, Igor, right?
We had met him in passing at Rhinebeck. He was carrying his daughter. We were in the car.
Oh, okay.
And we were driving by.
Anyway, so he was there as well, and
so we sat with them.
Andrea is Paula's partner in MacLeod.
Yeah, so it was nice to. And then they were going to H+H afterwards too, so we made that reconnection with them after.
Yeah.
So
and they're lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
Andrea was nice.
Very sweet, and it was nice to get some Italian in there because he's more Italian and French, so that was nice. So that was like pretty. It was like a nice, fun, festive event.
Yeah. And then went back to the hotel at, I think we were up till 5 o'clock that morning.
Yeah.
Right? Was that the night we were knitting and chatting, and then we went back to our room and stayed up for 2 more hours after that? Yeah. We didn't sleep a lot on this trip.
like when I say going to bed at 2 was like early.
It was early.
We were doing like 3, we did 5.
I feel like we have, this trip, and it's only 13 days long, and you don't want to miss any hour of it, right? Why waste it sleeping?
Yeah, I know.
So we made the most of it.
We certainly did. We maximized our hours.
Well, we were tired. We were tired when we came home. I came home sick.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
It was fun.
Anyway, so then Saturday and Sunday we went back to the
No, I think it was just Saturday because Sunday was our day too.
Oh, Sunday, that's right. Saturday we spent the full day at the marketplace, and then on Sunday we slept in. That's true. On Sunday we slept in, and then that was our day to explore Edinburgh a little bit, because between Wednesday and Saturday we had really just seen the streets between the hotel and the Corn Exchange.
It was embarrassing because I'm like, I don't even know where I am. I took
in the city.
City. I said we took a taxi from the airport to the hotel, and then from the hotel to the Corn Exchange. And I couldn't even tell you what part of the city our hotel is in.
Yeah.
So because Melissa and I are big travelers, so we tend to want to appreciate where we are and our location and do like a walkabout. But
so a lot of people at the
we're like, where are you staying?
So are you enjoying Edinburgh? And we're like, well, we've really seen nothing. So on Sunday we did a whirlwind tour. I think we covered a lot of ground in a day.
We did. We did a lot of walking, and this trip wasn't about really sightseeing. It was about being together. It was about yarn. It was about the festivals. It was just about
people
and recovering from our
life.
tough I was going to say our tough life.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to make it sound that we're like life. We were very privileged to go on this trip, and that's one thing that we have to acknowledge. That it was like how lucky we were to do this kind of a trip. So
and really, it was so special, and it was something that it took us it took us 7 years of store ownership to get to be able to do.
So it was really great. And then we headed down to London, and there we just kind of like regrouped, and we were just the two of us. Although we did meet with Heidi and Ellie.
So that was so being in Scotland was full on. It was lots of lots of social. We had to really pull out our extroverted sides, which is a little harder. Yeah, and so then we got on the train and headed down to London, and it was good. We were just decompressing a little bit, but we were really excited to meet with Heidi Kiermaier and Ellie of Skein-Deer Knits. The next day we met them for tea. High tea, which was lovely at the Ivy. And we enjoyed a lovely conversation with them.
I have to say, I felt like, oh my God, I'm meeting these like famous designers. It was surreal for us,
It was, just these two designers that we've admired for so long. I mean, Ellie is pretty new on the scene, but Heidi, we've been
since the beginning. We've been knitting our patterns.
Heidi's patterns since we opened the store. I think they were some of our earliest store samples. Yeah. And so it was just so great. And I think the conversation, even between these two very different designers, was interesting, to hear, and then
their perspectives and where they come from, and their background, and how they got into design and where they're taking their design. So that was really fun for us. And then the rest of the time,
we really just
walked around, hung out,
did a lot of sightseeing. We had pretty much blown our budget and our weight allowance, luggage weight allowance. So many people just ship their yarn back.
Well, we talked about that. We never got our act together. We did. Well, it was good because it meant restraint.
We had to. Yes, we had.
So we didn't buy really anything except yarn.
Yeah.
We actually had these vacuum packed.
You should have seen us in the.
These Eagle Creek, they're like Ziploc bags. We stuck our yarn to compress it and like squish it and.
I was going to take a picture. I opened mine already. I was going to take a picture of it. Anyway, so we
like
bought a lot of yarn.
It was like yarn sous vide.
What does sous vide mean?
Sous vide is when you cook
under pressure.
Yeah, when you cook in a vacuum packed bag. So you it's a cooking technique. It's a chef's technique.
Yes, okay.
And then you cook it when it's vacuum.
Yeah, so that was that's basically how we could close our suitcases.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did buy a lot of yarn, and I guess we will go through all of that, right? As we talk about our dream knitting. Okay. Yeah. We'll talk about our Edinburgh Yarn Festival haul, because I don't think we bought any yarn. We didn't buy anything, obviously, in London, and we didn't buy anything at H+H.
No.
H+H, we placed a few orders, and
so we
just basically looked around. So, so we will
get into
all this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to talk about?
I'd like to just mention how polite the people were in Edinburgh and London. Like at the festival, just
very British.
I don't know, I'm Italian. I'm not used to that level of politeness,
Scottish.
They were, even there was a time when I was trying to find a quiet corner to call Sean in Gianluca.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And then I hear this going, "Ma'am, are you all right? Ma'am, are you all right?" And I'm just walking to, and after like the fourth time, I'm like, is he talking to me? So I turn around, he was a security guard, and I'm like, "Oh, are you speaking to me?" He's like, "Yes, are you all right, ma'am?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right. Is it because I'm not supposed to go in here?" He's like, "Oh no, that section is closed." And
rather than just saying,
"You can't go over there, what are you doing over there, ma'am?" It was,
"Are you all right, ma'am?"
Just so polite. And then every time we were in a department store in London and they were closing, it wasn't a loudspeaker that said, "We are closing in 5 minutes."
No, they come up to you and they just ask you if you've made your selections.
Yes.
Have you made your final selections, ma'am? Exactly. Have you made your final selections? Have you chosen your tea?
And it's just like so subtle and so lovely. Yeah. So that was really,
it's civilized.
It is. It kind of like, it doesn't put you on edge, Yeah. And there are these kind of rules and ways that you need to do things. And I'm always one ready to like break down the rules. But, or get frustrated because there are these rules that don't make sense. But I'm like, even though the rules don't make sense,
I kind of like them.
They're so lovely and polite about it that it doesn't make me want to go against them. I found it was quite lovely. And then the last thing we should mention is the Pret-à-Manger.
Oh, yes. We enjoyed a lot of meals at the Pret-à-Manger. And we were like, should we open one of these in Canada? Can we open another store? So Pret-à-Manger is this, it's basically healthy fast food.
Yeah.
I believe it originated in England.
It must be, because there's one on every street corner.
Yeah. And it's so good. It's fresh ingredients, totally tasty, beautiful
sandwiches, soups, salads, and there's like there's just like there's some Indian flavors and Middle Eastern flavors, and
anyway, so good.
And they at the end of the day they donate all the food that's left over to food banks or shelters, and everything is made fresh the next day, so there's no waste.
Nothing hanging around from the day before.
So it's really so if you're ever traveling there,
Pret a Manger, highly recommend. For the in between your expensive meals.
So and then our last little jaunt was H+H.
Yep.
Which is the big trade show, European trade show, which blew our mind.
Oh my goodness. Now, we've only been to the North American trade show, which is lovely, but it is small and quite different.
Yes.
The H+H just has that incredible European flair. It's all about design. There are booths there that must cost $50,000 just to build in the space.
Yeah,
booths with eating areas and offices, and in the booth.
Yeah, champagne bar. One of them had a champagne bar. Espresso. I can't think how many booths had like an espresso machine where you can go and get an espresso, bowls of fruit.
It's beautiful high-end furniture.
Hardwood floors.
Anyway, it was.
We were blown away.
And that was. And that stuff is everything in there is just put up for the H+H show. And then it's all taken down. So, you go into these booths and that these companies have spent months, if not the full year, preparing for.
Yeah. And their design, like how they lay out their samples and their walls and their yarn.
And the samples on offer were incredible.
Spectacular. It's interesting because even some yarns that had, say, a lot of acrylic in them, you're like,
beautiful.
Oh my God, look how it's knit up and look how it's displayed. It's beautiful. Because this trade show is not just knitting, it's textiles, it's sewing.
Yeah.
And it's quite large, and you have it's mostly the bigger companies, but you do have some smaller. You had Mayak, Bamram was there. Some little, we met some Danish companies, Japanese companies.
Yeah, a few small companies, but then they would kind of tend to go in together in some of their booths.
Yes, that's
like
true.
Like the Japanese company that we ordered.
The Kohana.
Kohana. They were like in a sort of like the Japanese. And then there were some of our well-loved North American companies were there as well. Madeline Tosh was there. Coco Knits was there. So they all the North American
Big Bad Wool was there.
Yep.
Blue Sky was there.
Have their section.
Gleaner.
Kim
and her mom. So that was
so nice to catch up with. I was joking that we have to go all the way to Cologne to catch up with up with Kim
when her office is about a kilometer away from ours,
because she's so busy. Yeah. She's just incredible. She's doing well. She's such a dynamo. And Koigu was there as well.
Oh yeah, Koigu was there.
Were there any other Canadian companies?
I saw Zen Yarn Garden too from a distance. Okay. I had seen them as well.
Yeah. So and we spoke with Amy at Madeline Tosh, and they have some beautiful new yarns coming up, and one in particular. I guess it's not a new yarn because it's just that she's adding this new sparkle, but in a unique way to her yarn. So you can order any of her bases, I believe, and any of her colorways with this holographic strand of sparkle in it. So it's not gold, it's not silver. It's sparkly, but it takes on the color of the yarn in a way.
So it's not like, traditionally you'd have like a gold sparkle or a silver sparkle, but this one has variation. So that was really nice to see.
So we'll be looking into that a little bit, I think.
And
because we're not sparkly people, but that one was
that one really spoke to us.
Yeah.
So that was, and then we saw a new company from Denmark called BC Garn, which we were looking into bringing in the fall. So what's nice is that we have a rep who reps different companies, and she's going to be repping that yarn. So that was actually when we walked into H+H, it was the first booth that we went into. And it was lovely. The gentleman was his company, and his father had started the company, and then him and his wife were running it. But they're 67,
they're retiring,
I think.
And they just sold, right?
Yes, to a company that distributes yarn, but we'll have that yarn, and they have a Bio Shetland series.
They have some beautiful yarn. So they have is it Smilla?
Yeah. In different
the Bio
weights.
Shetland, the
balance,
Lino,
the Bio Balance.
Yeah. So there are quite a few lines from that yarn that we're interested in bringing in, exploring for sure.
And so it was kind of nice. What was nice about this show is it wasn't like, we have to get orders in. It was just more to like see what's there and where the trends are.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that's why it was a relaxed show for us, because we could just wander and see and get ideas and be inspired without feeling the pressure of having to sit down and place a lot of orders, because that wasn't really, that's normally something that we do when we meet with our reps or when we go to the TNNA show in June on the North American side. But, we had seen a lot at Edinburgh. I think that's true what happened. There were a lot of companies that we'd seen in Edinburgh that we wanted to explore in terms of bringing in more rustic yarns. So we weren't, we kind of have an idea of what the kinds of things we want to add to our inventory. Right. So we weren't looking for a lot of new companies.
Right. Because at H+H, it's a lot of the yarns sort of in the vein of what we already carry.
Yes.
So we were kind of looking. I think Edinburgh for us was more inspirational in terms of new product, whereas H+H was inspirational in terms of design and look and just seeing a vibrant knitting industry that's happening.
It was incredible.
And I think we came away from this trip with this sort of idea that we're really wanting to explore color work and what we're calling more rustic yarns in terms of
and breed specific yarns.
Yes, I mean there's an amazing, here in North America we don't really have that idea of like all these different breeds. We sort of say sheep and goat and like mohair, we sort of group things together, though Brooklyn Tweed definitely has brought that to the forefront with their different American breeds. In England and Scotland and Wales it's very prevalent, I guess you would say.
Prominent, I would say, yeah.
And Norway as well.
Finland
and Norway. And so it was really nice for us to get an appreciation and an exposure to different sheep breeds and to speak with different owners like Johnny from Garthenor or Sue from Blacker Yarns and or also the girls from Bamramu and just speak to them about, where things are milled, what kind of breeds do they work with, where they come from, and what's the philosophy that they have behind their company. So that's sort of an area that we've already started with like we mentioned, Brooklyn Tweed and Blue Sky Fibers with the wool stock. And we're kind of wanting to bring that to our
shop. So, I think when we opened our shop, there was a huge demand and a huge interest in soft yarns, in merinos, in superwash, in cashmeres even, silks. And, we are well stocked in all of those things. And
then
we will
remain,
and hand dyed, and we will continue to carry all of those 100%. Things. But I think that we are also just interested in bringing something new and expanding our inventory to include some of these more rustic, closer to the sheep kind of yarns, right, or to the animal kind of yarns that are they are more rustic, but they're a little bit more pure. They're traceable. They're traceable back to the farms and sometimes to the actual animal, and they bring a different appreciation for texture and. It's a different sensation altogether.
Yes.
And I think since, we've started knitting with the Brooklyn Tweed and really just loving that.
And the Lopi as well.
And the Lopi. And loving the fabric that's created by these wools and how they feel on our bodies, I think that we're just, maybe we're a little late to the party. I know some people have, been there for years, but that's certainly a direction that we'd like to move in, I think.
Yeah, and it's I think for me what really clicked is when I wore that Lopi sweater at Rhinebeck. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was hot. It was 24, 25 degrees. And I'm wearing this like heavy wool sweater.
And you are sensitive.
I am very sensitive. And I did not sweat. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be. And I was wearing a tank top underneath. Yeah. So I had the wool against my skin. Yeah. And so when you first put it on, you feel it. You feel the wool. But then what wool does is...
It's not itchy.
It's not itchy.
It may be a little rough or scratchy, but it's not itchy.
It's sort of like a thing in your head, I think. Because if I would have worn that sweater maybe 5 years ago, I would have put it on and right away taken it off. Whereas I'm like, no, put it on. It feels a bit weird. Leave it. And then it's like, then it just becomes, it's like it becomes part of you. Yeah. And there's a time and a place for different yarns.
Absolutely.
And the thing when you have 100% wool that hasn't been treated, there's a breathability and it regulates to your body temperature, which I find super interesting is that you don't overheat because you breathe in it. Yeah. And I never believed it, but it's true.
Yeah, and it's really true. And you can, and even if you do sweat or if it gets wet, this wool is, I think it's called hygroscopic. It will actually wick moisture away and it will remain warm.
So and not retain odor.
And not retain odor.
Like I wore this large. I wore it like for 2 weeks. I didn't wash it. I wore it on the plane, and I was
normally she really stinks. She doesn't stink at all in this sweater.
Imagine. And it's just like, so I wore this on the plane, and it was like so light. Yeah. That's another thing is you can get warmth.
Yes.
With a lightness and an airiness rather than a heaviness.
They're so drapey, but they're cozy and warm.
And it's like. Yeah. It's like so cozy. So there's really an appreciation that we've developed for that. So, and one of the best things is you can spit splice your yarn without an issue.
It was so nice. I finished this sweater yesterday or the day before, and it was like hardly any ends.
I know.
There was just hardly any ends.
Little bonus in what makes us happy. So we really met a lot of nice companies, a lot of owners, and so we're looking to bring in some things for the fall. Yeah, we're on some waiting lists too because it's breed specific, and the companies are working with small mills and small farms. There's not an overabundance.
Huge production, exactly.
So sometimes it's like, well, this is the max we can do right now. So we're on a waiting list, and
so we're on. I wait for a couple of companies in particular that we're hoping that we will be able to bring in, but we're happy to be patient.
Yes, exactly. We have lots of things to knit now.
Exactly. So, we have lots to keep us busy. So should we talk a little bit about what we bought?
So let's talk about what we bought. So where should we start? Do you want to start with
why don't you go ahead? You can start. Shall we go one and one?
Yeah,
or should we talk about what we're wearing first?
Oh, yeah, maybe what we're wearing. Okay. So I have the picture. I'm wearing the Larch by Pam Allen, which I've knit in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. So it's a little bit hard to see. It's a dark color.
It's a cast iron colorway, right?
It's a cast iron, yes. I'm going to do my little stand up here. Yeah, they're little pockets. So you see my little pockets?
So cute.
Right here?
Look how light.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You could hide some yarn under there if you're going to custom. So, and it's a drop shoulder and super cozy, like you're wearing a blanket. So.
And it was by Pam Allen?
Pam Allen. And
it's an easy knit?
Super easy knit. The only thing is you pick up stitches for the neck and pockets. But the pockets, it's not complicated. Easy. It's easy. So it's an easy beginner
sweater.
It's a drop
shoulder, so you're not even doing...
It's a drop shoulder. So you pick up stitches. So basically, pick up stitches. If you've never done it, it's a nice little challenge. And the pockets, which are super well explained in the pattern. Yeah. So I really highly recommend this sweater as just like, your cozy weekend sweater.
It looks great.
It feels really great. Amazing. Yeah. And I thought it would be a little more tunic length, but I'm happy with it in terms of the length that I did.
If you were to knit it again, would you add
I don't know. At first, I thought I would.
Yeah.
But I think I'm happy with it now. But just for you to realize, do you want it more sweater or tunic? Because I based it on the model who was 5'10".
Okay.
So I'm like, it falls, and I'm 5'6". And I'm 5'6", so I'm like, I'm going to get 4 inches. Yeah. So sometimes pictures play tricks with you. Yeah. So what you should do is hold it up. It's bottom up. So hold it on yourself.
But it's hard to know where your armpit's going to fall.
See, I assume that the arms would be bigger because it was drop shoulder. Yeah. But just for you to know, it's not a tunic. It's a longer sweater. It covers... Yeah. It just covers my bum. Yeah. So if you wanted it longer to wear with leggings, just for you to be aware of that.
Although you could definitely, even that length is perfect for that too.
Yeah, it is. I wear it with leggings. Yeah. So, I mean, I have to say I highly, highly recommend this sweater. Okay. And it's a loose gauge. It's 15.5 stitches. So
it's fast.
Yeah, and what's funny is that I didn't think I'd finish it. And then I did an Instagram post saying, unfortunately, I'm not going to finish this for EYF. And somebody made a comment that said, you just have 2 sleeves and a cowl. Like,
it's like, you can do it.
You can do it. And I'm like, oh, really? I can do it. It's so silly. But I did it. And anyways,
we go.
So that's what I'm wearing.
So I am wearing also something in Brooklyn Tweed, but this one is knit with Loft. And this is second version of, maybe I should try and stand up too. Can I? The second version of the Hayward that I did. So the first one I did was in the cast iron colorway, and I loved it so much, and it was just such an easy knit and easy to wear, and I wear it to death. So I thought, I'll do another one. And this one was
the spring version.
Yeah, and it was fairly uneventful knit, except that I made a ridiculous mistake down here when I was about to start knitting the front, and I neglected to cast off some stitches, like 5 stitches down here. So my stitch count was off by the time I got to the top, and it wasn't something that was fixable. My sleeves were going to be completely lopsided, so I had to actually reknit the hand. So was it on the trip?
I was going to say on the train. Was it on the train that you frogged it?
I had to frog the whole front and redo it. So I'm glad that I did it right away.
Yes.
Because if I had put it away, it would probably stay there and hibernate for a while. So I was, it's the second time I've had to do that in a couple of months. My Mira Mesnil, I had to start over as well.
Our brains were just not there. We needed the break.
Yes, exactly. So I finished, I think, the front, and then just started the sleeve on the plane on the way back or something.
And then you were done a couple of days later.
This week, as I've avoided unpacking all my boxes, I managed to knit my sleeves and do my seaming. And
it's great. The color just looks nice.
Yeah, and
I know it's a neutral,
nice for spring,
but it brightens up your face.
Yeah, it's a little, but I just feel it's just classic. It's easy, it's comfortable, and I've gone on and on about this loft yarn at a 21 stitch gauge, so it's fingering weight yarn, but it's at that looser gauge as just you did like the shelter, and it just feels so nice on me, and it gives the fabric such a nice drape, but it still has good structure. Like, it doesn't stretch out of shape, or it holds its shape. And
yeah, it's great. I washed mine after the trip, and it just kind of like all just bounced right back.
And I feel like I need maybe 1 or 2 more.
Yes.
So, but I think the next one I do is going to be in linen. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to dream knitting.
In our next dream knitting.
So
in all
is
our spare time.
So
that's what we're wearing.
That's what we're wearing.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll do the finished objects then, because I just have 2 more, and then we'll go back to our stash.
Okay.
So I actually finished 2 other projects. So I did a Vertices Unite, and I did it in La Bien-Aimée, in the merino singles that I picked up at Rhinebeck. It was a special Rhinebeck colorway. So I wanted a smaller shawl to be sort of an indoor shawl, because I already have 2 Vertices Unite. I have a very big one and a smaller one. So this one, what's interesting is that this skein here that I did this is the same as this skein. But because this was short rows, it gave a different texture, a different look, because of where the speckling went. So I thought that was kind of neat, because it's all one color, but you do have variety
depending on the length of the rows
and the direction of the
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's very cool.
I think it gives it a very cool look.
Yeah, and then I went hummed and hawed about doing the border in a different color to add some pizzazz, but I really wanted a neutral that I could wear with everything.
I'm glad you did that. I was surprised, because on the plane on the way home, you were talking about pulling out, I don't know, maybe a hot pink or a rust or teal.
Yeah.
And
I came to the store and I took them all out, and I bugged the staff to give me their opinion.
Did you?
And in the end, I said, you'll
regret not
I'll regret it.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that if it's a pink, then I'm going to be like, I can only wear it with this, that, or the other thing. Whereas this, I can wear with anything. So that's a Vertices Unite. And what I did was, for this pattern, section 1 defines how long it's going to be. So it starts over here. So the small you increase until 60 stitches, and the large 90 stitches. So I just went to 75.
Yeah.
And then everything else works its way out. You might not understand, but just knit to whatever, and then everything kind of
flows
from there. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was nice. So I finished that, and then I have this pattern which is a little bit hilarious, because I started this last year in the summer when I went to Europe. This was my super easy European
road
trip shawl. And I actually finished on this European trip. So I basically started in the corner. I did an increase every row to the width I desired. And then I just knit and stockinette for quite a while. And then I did 1 decrease every row. So it's my standard parallelogram. I've done the Kigali Nights, the Raft and Lino, but those were short rows.
She's so good for the miles of stockinette.
I tell you. But this was actually no short rows. I just did knit front backs and purl front backs and knit 2 togethers, because sometimes people want a basic without having to worry about the short rows. And that's it. So it's really a parallelogram
And I did it in Sylph by Jade Sapphire. This is one of my desert island yarns. It's a cashmere linen. Now, we don't have any left. It's a yarn that when you see it in the ball, lots of people are not inspired. It's a yarn that
feels a little stringy until you block it, right?
Yes.
Until it's had that wet block.
And then there's like a softness of a cashmere, but the structure of a linen, which I like. Yeah. However, it's considered a light fingering yarn. And this is my gauge is 24 stitches. So you can use any light fingering yarn. Even a fingering yarn, a lace weight yarn. It's just a parallelogram. And I talk in the pattern about different ways that you can just, like, if you wanted to make it longer or shorter. So I was thinking a really nice substitute that we have is Veil by Brooklyn Tweed. So this is considered a lace weight, but it's wool. So it's going to have that bit of that bloom effect. So I just have some different possibilities as maybe a nice summer shawl. So the can be done in Veil. And the other one that I thought would be lovely is Meadow by Fiber Company.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice.
So I've already done a shawl in this. So this is also considered a heavy lace or a light fingering weight. So the Meadow is really nice. And the Meadow is a mixture of merino, baby llama, silk, and linen.
So it does have that linen.
That linen content. Yeah. So those are some nice options. Maybe, I'm not sure about the Mayak lace, but that could be a possibility too. You can always knit it on a bit of a tighter gauge.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to say, I think that might be a bit light, but then we saw Julie Weisenberger of Coco Knits wearing the Lizzie sweater in the Mayak lace.
Yeah. And her gauge was...
And it was beautiful at that. Yeah. It was a looser gauge, but it didn't feel too airy or light.
That could be a really nice, I forgot about that reference. So definitely Mayak lace, I think, would be a nice option. Yeah. And if you wanted to go a little bit tighter in your gauge, then you just,
just go a little bit longer.
Exactly. And the pattern, I wrote up the pattern last night, so we're going to be doing the pattern, and then we're going to have it available. So hopefully by... either when this podcast is published or just a little bit after. So we just are cleaning. He just came in. So the Mayak lace weight I think would definitely be a beautiful yarn to do it in. I'm actually toying with some patterns in the Mayak lace as well. And if you wanted to make it a little bit tighter gauge and go a little bit longer, then the pattern is going to explain it. And I just took a little, I'm not really good at selfies, but I just took a little selfie of myself when I was away. And this is kind of what it looks like. So it's nice as a scarf.
What's nice is you get those 2 points, coming down. So it becomes sort of less squared off and bulky there.
Yes.
I like that.
That's what I love about the parallelogram is that you don't have the bulk around your neck. So if you tie it, you have those nice points. Yeah. And it's also wide enough. I believe it's 24 inches wide. Okay. So it can make a nice little shawl with a wrap over. So that's going to be called the European Road Trip shawl. So those are my finished objects, and you had your Hayward.
Yeah, just this.
Yeah. But might as well talk about what are works in progress. Okay. I don't have that many, so we're okay. So why don't you go first?
Okay. What do you have, by the way?
I have my that'll be a good segue. My BFL from Black Earth.
Oh, nice. Okay. So my first work in progress is the Selbu mittens, which I did show a lot on Instagram, I think.
They are so beautiful.
Aren't they?
And we met the designer.
Ellie of Skandir Knits. She's the designer of this beautiful mitten. And this was a really, I think what Ellie did was she tried to design a mitten that was, I feel all of a sudden a deja vu, like I showed this on our last podcast.
I think you did.
Did I?
Yes, because I think you talked about the cuff.
Started.
I can't remember.
Okay.
It's all big blur.
Well, if I've already shown this, I apologize. But what Ellie did was design this sort of traditional Norwegian colorwork mitten for DK weight yarn. So to make it a little bit easier, a little accessible for people who haven't necessarily done this kind of color work before. And it's a beautifully written pattern, very, very clear. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I did knit it just before our trip, and it is something that requires concentration. This is not social knitting. This isn't travel knitting. So I wasn't able to bring the second one on the trip to finish. But I think it'll just be nice to really 2 evenings and you can be finished, at least to the point where you just need to insert your thumbs. So I just need to carve out a little time to finish the second one, but I highly recommend the pattern. And I am knitting this with Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, which is a worsted spun yarn from Brooklyn Tweed. And it's a DK weight, and it's lovely. It's
It has a little more structure, a little more.
Yeah, like, it's 100% wool, and it lends itself well to the pattern, I think. So I'm showing it off on these beautiful. Aren't like, you guys?
I mean, you guys. It's like you just need these beautiful tools because look at that, handcrafted.
These are by Patricia, so they're
we met at Edinburgh.
Yeah, we met at Edinburgh. So they're called the Selbu mitten blockers and Selbu sock blockers, and these are handmade by Patricia on her farm in Norway. So Patricia is actually American, and she is an expat living in Norway. She married a Norwegian, and she's been there, I think, for at least 20 years. And she's a school teacher actually, but I think she's soon to retire. And she has
grade 1.
Yeah, she teaches grade 1.
Yeah.
And she has a podcast and a website, and I want to say a blog, but I'm not sure about that. And her podcast is called Knitography, and it's sort of the intersection of knitting, geography, and photography. And so she has a little farm. So she has a little farm, and she has some sheep, but her sheep are staying currently with a co-op, and her dream is to bring her sheep to her farm. I'm thinking that she's hoping to do that after she retires. And so she's, slowly figuring out a way to do that, and she is raising money in order to make that dream come true. So all of the proceeds from her mitten blockers, which are handmade. Yeah, she makes herself, and she has what she calls something butter, bee butter.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, is this? She gave us this little tub of bee butter
to condition
them. So you just rub it in every once in a while when they start to get a little dry, and it smells great. It's
that lavender.
Yeah, and I think it comes from. She gets the beeswax from the farm. No, I think it's from the farm near her, and where they're beekeepers. And then she adds the essential oil and creates bee butter. So she gifted that to us at the Podcaster Lounge in Edinburgh. So it was lovely to meet Patricia, because I have been watching her podcast, and it's just, I find it so informative and relaxing. And so she speaks a lot about the tradition of Norwegian knitting and color work. And so it's just lovely to have these in my possession, and it was lovely to meet Patricia. And I just want to encourage anybody, if you also would love to have these, then to go listen to her podcast, and there's a link to her website and information about how to order those from her Instagram page as well.
And what's so nice is what really we appreciate on this trip is just meeting all these women who have small companies, who are doing things from the heart, that things are handmade, that it's a bit of a slow process, and just enjoying the knitting, the yarn, the patterns, the tools, everything, rather than just be like a consumer in a mass.
Right. She's very thoughtful. Yeah. That's what I appreciate most about her. It's not about consuming and having and buying, and it's really just being thoughtful in your approach to knitting and to this community, and
to supporting each other in all the different venues, and
to supporting all the little farms and all the little makers around, you know. So anyway, I just find this combination of the Skeindir mitten pattern from Selby mittens from Ellie, and my sock blockers and mitten blockers from Patricia. P4Chen, P4CHEN on Instagram is how you can find her.
It's just the whole knitting experience becomes so much more personal and meaningful. So
exactly.
It's lovely.
So
you have that
was one. And then the other thing that I cast on was, this has been on my list of things to do for at least a year and a half. This is the Boho Blush by Andrea Mowry, and I was just trying to find the perfect yarn, the perfect color, and I decided before our trip to do it in Juliestin Fino in the color Adelaide. And Fino is a fingering weight combination of merino, cashmere, and silk, and I love this color, so I've just cast it on. It was my little reward for finishing my Hayward. But look how beautiful that color is. Isn't it nice?
It's very nice.
Isn't it nice?
It's like a nice, colorful, not too in your face, you know? It looks perfect on you, Melissa.
Pretty. Thank you.
I mean, I'm sort of going the same direction with my Mayak too. So
the desert flower. Or night flower?
Night flower, I think
night flower. So this is nice because this pattern incorporates a little bit of brioche. But not too much. Just
enough
a few
to
sections of brioche.
keep you motivated.
And I haven't, I've done a little bit of brioche. I think actually the only brioche I've done is in the exploration station, and it was like 12 rows or 20 rows or something like that. And so I'm wanting to get my feet wet with that again, so that I can start expanding and taking on more projects that incorporate that, because Andrea Mowry has so many beautiful patterns that I like that have sections of brioche, and I would like to
dabble in that.
Yeah, dabble into some of those. So anyway, I'm very happy with that. That's going to keep me busy for a little while. So I'd like to have that for late spring, I'd say.
Well, it is possible because spring still has not sprung here in
Montreal.
Montreal.
Not fully sprung, no, exactly.
So you have time.
0 degrees today.
Now on my side, I just finished 2 projects. Oh, well, with the large 3. So I just have one thing that I cast on, and I have so many ideas, but I haven't been able to really sit down and pinpoint what it is. I also have my Second Avenue that that I had started before my accident. So whether I'm going to go back to that or start something new. So I mean, this is really,
you got to go back to that. That one's going to be so pretty.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know if I want to do it now or the fall. I have to see.
Okay.
So I mean, this is kind of, it's not really easy to see. So basically, it's a version of the Saint Laurent, which is one of our Espace Tricot patterns. So it's going to be like, I don't even know. You want to hold this?
Yeah.
It's like crazy. So it's just like it's like a sail. But instead of doing the lace stitch, I'm doing it in stockinette. And then you pick up stitches along in the center spine.
So it'll create this long triangle on one side, and then you'll come back down and do...
Pick up. And I haven't decided
triangle on the
if I'm going to do it in the same way that Jocelyn did it or in an opposite way. But I'm doing it in stockinette because... I love miles of stockinette, and I'm always in search of these light, airy shells for summer. And the color I couldn't get enough of this beautiful color. So this is, there's no name for it yet, and it's a work in progress.
Did you say what you're knitting it with?
I'm knitting it with the Blacker Breeds Blue Face Leicester, which is a lace weight yarn that we picked up at EYF. And it is so beautiful and soft, and this Blue Face Leicester is just, I've never... felt a blue face, a BFL that was this soft.
Yeah. Well, so Sue was telling us a little bit about the differences in BFL that you can get and BFL that's included in different blends of yarn. And I could be wrong, but what I remember her telling us is that there are different qualities of BFL. And so there's 100%, there's a pure BFL. And then there are some farmers who will breed BFL sheep with other sheep. Yes. And so there's sort of a percentage of BFL. It can sort of be called BFL, but it's not 100%.
Right. It has a percentage.
I don't know what the proportion is. So
there's some playing there with the nomenclature in terms of it's still BFL, even though that BFL might be a breed that's mixed like 80% BFL with something else.
Forgive me if I've gotten that wrong, but that was sort of, because this is incredibly soft.
Oh. It's amazing.
Soft.
And what she was saying is because there's a limited quantity of this, what they've chosen to do, and this is another thing I found interesting, is they decided to make it into a lace weight because they could get more yardage. Yeah. So that's another thing, is when you look at farmers and how they're maximizing their output, and so what is the best use of this yarn, of this fleece,
given
or fiber,
how much we have of it.
Exactly. So by doing it in a lace weight, they can get more, and it's interesting because it's a little bit thick and thin. And the spin is not super tight either. No. So you see how, so it's going to be a very interesting fabric. It won't be one of those very even types of fabric. It'll have texture. It'll have a,
which is nice. I like
have like a little story to tell. So that is really interesting.
That's a nice way of saying it. A little story to tell.
And this is really nice. So I'm even toying with the idea of doing one side one color and the other side another color. So I actually ordered.
Well, that was another person we met. Corinne. I don't know if her name is Corinne or Claire, but
it is. Corinne Claire is her name. That's how she signed her email to me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So she owns the Woolly Thistle in the U.S., and she specializes in a lot of these breed-specific yarns from the UK and Scandinavia. So
So she had
so we met her, and she carries some of these things. So you were able to get on the side of
color that's gray, a little bit mauvey gray. So I'm going to see if I'm going to just stick with this one or play on the two colors. And she was lovely, and she has a podcast as well. Yeah. So check her out.
Well, actually, an audio podcast. I actually listened to it the other day. It was great. I didn't know that before, so I listened to a couple of episodes since we've been back. As I was finishing my sweater. It was lovely.
So if you're looking currently now for some of these yarns, that she's a place to go to, but we're hoping that we're on a waiting list with Sue and Katie from Blacker. So we're really hoping that we're going to be able to stock their yarns in the near future. So that's the only thing I'm working on. And then I have a whole bunch of potentials, and so I really want to take my time before diving into another project. I want to take my time because I think I'm feeling a bit torn, because I'm having a pull towards color work after going to EYF, but at the same time I'm having a pull towards summer. So then I was really inspired by these colors. So this was a hat sample that we saw at Mayak, and this was a sample we saw at the Sadness Garn booth at H+H. So I'm kind of inspired by those colors. So then I'm thinking, should I knit wool but with brighter colors? I'm sort of wanting to move out of the grays right now. So I'm just in this little place of reflection. So what I've done is I've made a list of all my potential patterns with potential yarns, and I'm going to mull those over.
Lisa, it's so organized.
I am completely organized. So this is so one of the ones that I'm thinking about is the hipster shawl. Now I really wanted, this is by Joji Locatelli, and I really wanted to knit it in this color, but it's not my color. And I keep asking people, they're like, no, it's not your color. So then I was thinking, okay, night flower. So maybe I'm going to go there and do the hipster and night flower. So that's one of my potentials. Okay. So then, so this is the Kyler shawl by Isabel Kramer that I tried on, and it's lovely, lovely, lovely. And that is by Ronas, which is a native Shetland organic yarn from Garthenor Yarns. So this yarn comes in all natural colors. I think there were 4 colors.
Yeah.
So I chose the one of the pattern. And it was fun because Isabel Kramer was there, and she had this shawl on, and it was displayed. And I really love this shawl. I just love the sort of the rib down here with the lace, the knot. It really, really spoke to me, and I even tried it on. So I bought the yarn to knit that up with. And Garthenor, you bought some Garthenor as well, Melissa.
Yes, I bought some Garthenor as well. This is one of my dream knitting projects. It's called the Station Svan shawl. Svan. And it was knit up in the booth as well, and I fell in love with it right away. It's very simple. It's sort of like a elongated triangle with just some lace on the end, and I chose it was knit with the number 2 Shetland. And the thing about Garthenor yarns is that they're based in Wales. It actually takes 3 skeins, and they're going to send me my 3rd skein because they were out of stock. It was popular, but all of their yarns are organic. So they were actually, I believe, the first farm, or the first
in the UK
to be to receive that certification for 100% organic wool. So I'm pretty sure that 100% of what they produce and sell is organic. And so they're a beautiful little story, actually. It's a family.
Yeah, Sally, John, and Johnny, and their daughter was there.
John, did you say? It's John, the father is John, and the
son is Johnny, and then their daughter, I don't know what her name is, but she was there helping out because she lives in Edinburgh.
Yeah, so they started, I can't remember how many years they started, but they were, they had this farm, and they were producing their own yarn, and they got this certification for organic wool, and they were being milled by the Natural Fiber Company, which is owned by Sue of Blacker Yarns. And so they're a mill that spins as well as dyes yarn. So Garthenor gets their wool milled there, but the demand for their yarn sort of quickly exceeded what they were able to provide. So now they source yarns from all over the UK, I believe. And so, and they retain that certification of organic
and they work
yarns
with all their farmers and really to make sure that the standards are there.
Yeah, and my understanding is that they still have most things milled at the Natural Fiber Company. Do you know for sure?
I'm not sure why.
Or did they use other mills as well?
I think he was saying that they were starting to use other mills, but everything was sort of within their area.
Yeah, within their area. And so the Natural Fiber Company is a mill in Cornwall. I think they started out in Wales, and they've moved down to Cornwall, and that is, as I said, owned by Sue of Blacker Yarns. And so Blacker Yarns is Sue's line of yarns that she produces out of that mill, but they also mill and dye for other smaller farms and companies around the UK. So
and Garthenor was just into the natural colors, but then they started. They have actually launched
their first line, right?
Their first line of dyed yarns, and the dye, it's an all organic dyed yarn. So this color, oh my God, I don't know if it does justice, but
it's funny. It looks completely different here right now. It's kind of a deep greeny.
It's called Kettle. It's like a deep greeny gray. Oh my God! Yes. I saw this and it was like, I think there were only 4 skeins and I just
you bought them all
right away. And so this is their new yarn. It's Henorius. It's their dyed brand of yarn. So this is like.
So is
really
that the
lovely
type of sheep it is?
So let me see. Henorius. We have our. This is all. Yes, Henorius. Add a splash of color to your stash. Masterly dyed to our nuanced palette, Henorius continues to fly the flag for 100% organic, breed-specific, and traceable yarns.
Okay.
So this is sort of branching out into their color. So that's a lace weight yarn.
It's 60% certified organic, single farm, Falklands, Polworth shearling, and 40% certified organic, single farm, English Romney shearling. So it's a combination of.
So this is definitely an area that we're going to educate ourselves in terms of all these breed-specific yarns. And
so forgive us if we're getting information wrong. But we can read labels.
Yes. And I've been looking at doing this Alinda wrap by Emma O'Brien for a very long time.
Oh, let me see. Oh, that'll be nice.
So I'm thinking that this is one that's on my list. But I'm already doing a lace weight with the BFL from Blacker, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to delve into another lace weight just yet. So we have, those are 2 that are on my potential list.
Okay, so this is more, so we'll talk more about Stash that we picked up. So this has been on my list for a while. This is Mellow Sun by Isabel Kramer, and I picked up Blöne. This is from Hillesvåg, and it is I'm not going to be able to read the label.
And then people will tell us about it.
Yes, exactly.
It's wool.
It's wool. It's Norwegian wool, and it's beautiful. I should know this because I watched Diana's podcast that talked all about Pelsølgarn. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, lofty, I would say very loosely spun yarn, and it's a bulky weight, and I think it will be beautiful. Knit up into this shawl.
And I bought 1 skein of the same yarn in blue because I'm still in my blue phase.
You're going to do a hat, right?
I'm going to do a hat. I'm going to do the cocoon hat by Maison Rilili. I already have 2 of them, but I need another one. So that was because I wanted to try this yarn, but I wasn't ready to commit to a full big project. So 1 skein was perfect for me.
Okay. So from Blacker Yarns, I picked up, you know me and my mohair, so I picked up something called Mohair Blends, and it is a blend of Manx and mohair, and it is a fingering weight. It's a 4-ply, and it's delicious. It's delicious. It has my little halo, but not very much actually, just a little. No. But it's a fingering weight, and so I had an idea to do the Dotted Rays by Stephen West, which I've been wanting to do for a long time.
It's been on my list too.
But just to do it as I know he has sort of color striping one and speckly ones, and he does have this single color one. But I thought it would be great to change it up into sort of a more rustic looking shawl. So I think that is.
We had that idea. We were chatting about the idea of taking all these Stephen West patterns that we've knit or wanted to knit, and then change it up and do it sort of in these neutral rustic yarns. So who knows? That might come by. I bought this yarn. I don't have any. It's from Hillesvåg, and it's a fingering weight yarn, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that because I'm sure I will butcher it. But it's in my blue palette, and it's a fingering weight, and this is definitely going to be some kind of shawl. So this one I haven't.
It's very similar to the color of the panine that you just bought.
Yeah. No, this is more navy. It's completely different.
Completely.
Look.
Oh yes, that's more.
You have to put them together.
That's kind of army green. The other one.
I don't know. It's the green that I love that you can't pinpoint. I have grayish eyes, and if I can go, my eyes can be a bit more green or a bit more blue depending on the color. So these are two colors that do well for me. So
there you go.
So this is a yarn that I have, but I have no plans for it just yet.
Okay, so this one is Ulysse by Durerum Natura, and so I bought up a sweater's quantity of this one because I would like to do another ranunculus in this sort of more rustic. This is a yarn. Durerum Natura is from France. And it's a merino. This is 100% merino, but
it's untreated, which is interesting. Yes. It's a very different texture. We don't often feel merinos that have this texture.
Yes. It's true. It's partly because it's also very loosely spun as well, or feels it.
I'm looking forward to seeing this knit up and what it's going to give, because it doesn't have the same feel as the wools that we've been talking about, and it doesn't have the feel of the superwash merino.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's true.
It'll be very interesting to see how that knits up.
Well, I think partly because I think it's more of a worsted spun than a woolen spun, so that's part of it. But also it's not a worsted spun in the superwash yarn that we're accustomed to.
That's a tight spin.
Exactly. So anyway, this version, I want to say her name is Amy Zhang on Ravelry. Sorry if I've got that wrong. I'll put the correct maker. This is not the actual designer's picture. It's somebody who's knit this in the Durerum Natura Ulysse. So this is that sweater in that yarn, and I think it's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to casting that one on. So I'd love to knit that one right away, but I feel like I should wait until
Now Melissa and I buy same. But a little bit different. So it's pretty funny when you look at our purchases.
Yeah, quite a lot of overlap.
Exactly. So I also want to do a colorwork sweater. So I went back to my conservative. So to the Ulysse, also by Durerum Natura. And we've contacted them also. But that is also a company that has a limited supply. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to get on board with them.
I think they've grown
in the near future.
Quite quickly, actually.
Right.
And so their demand is exceeding their
capacity.
Exactly.
So I'd like to put these together.
Is that your Ulysse?
Yes, the Ulysse in a colorwork. And this is one, too, that I looked at a lot of different ones, and I actually I had some in mind so that I could buy the appropriate amount of yarn. So I want to do something with a yoke. And I'm not too sure if I'm just going to go with 3 colors or add in a 4th. So this is one that I'm also looking at, and I have to spend a little bit more time researching because I think it's going to make a lovely neutral colorwork sweater.
So beautiful.
So that's another one that I'm looking at.
So another one from Durerum Natura that I think we both bought.
Yes, we both bought to make the same sweater.
Is Gilead.
And do you have your contrasting?
Yeah. No, I didn't bring my contrasting because I just thought I would...
Mine is blue, so I'm going to do a cream color sweater with a navy stripe, and you're going to do...
I actually bought charcoal gray and I'll do it... I'll do this. I actually bought 2 contrasting color options. Okay. This or kind of like a seafoamy blue...
that one.
Bluish green.
Bluish green, I think.
Yeah, with the charcoal. So I have a feeling it'll be this because... That's who I am.
Too much color.
Yeah, so this is the sweater that we'd like to knit.
Is that by Isabel Kramer?
No, it's by Katrin Schneider.
You sure? I had Isabel Kramer here.
No. Okay. Monochrome. It's called the Monochrome Pullover. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's by Katrin Schneider, but I'll double check before I post. And
so we're both going to knit that one.
Yes. Well, that is on my list. However, I also really would like to knit Bavaria by Isabel Kramer, and that one I think would do well with that yarn as well. So I'll decide right before I cast on.
Which is tonight. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I had Isabel Kramer. Oh, I know why, because there was a colorwork sweater I was going to do by her, and I must have mixed them up. So yes, by Katrin Schneider. You are correct.
Okay, I was correct.
You were correct, madame. And I would do the darker color with the stripe in the light, but then I said no, I'm going to go for the light. I'm going to break it up. So that's so we did that.
Okay, so Isolde had a beautiful booth at the Edinburgh Yarn
Here's another one. We didn't go up and speak to her. I'm like, I don't know. I felt
there's Isolde.
Yeah, we looked at her from afar. I was too shy to go up and speak to her.
It was impressive. Her booth was more like a store, actually.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with these mittens, these colorwork mittens. They're called Millet, I think, is how you pronounce it. And they're knit with phenol garn from Rauma. And I sort of chose the colors, sort of. It uses a yellow, and I chose a green for my contrast color. Sorry.
You need help?
But then I was, what if I am in a neutral mood at the time that I decide to knit them?
We need backup. We need backups for our knitting projects.
Exactly. So again, I will decide at the moment of cast on which way I'm going to go.
What inspires you?
Yes.
You will see where the wind blows you.
So,
is that it? That's all we did?
No.
I think that's all we did, Melissa. Where are our show notes?
Lisa.
What? Oh, our Bean and Me. Oh,
so
my
we fell
goodness.
down at the okay. So obviously we still have a love for hand dyed yarn, and this is single ply merino from La Bien-Aimée.
Did you just buy one color, Melissa? You did.
I bought for the sweater kit for the rose cardigan.
But for your singles.
Yeah, for my singles I bought 5 skeins of
what color?
It's called Pop Grunge, which I've been wanting. I had wanted to pick this one up at her store in Paris last summer, but she didn't have any in stock. So I bought something else instead, and I forget. But this one it has all the colors I love. It has the hot pink, it has the chartreuse, it has gray, it has black. And so I haven't decided if I'm going to do a shawl with this or if I'm going to do the piece of silver.
Oh, yeah, that
sweater. Will I wear a speckle sweater?
Well, so it's so funny because remember last podcast, I said I'll never wear a speckle sweater.
But I feel like maybe.
So then I buy for this piece of silver, even though I bought my other one for the piece of silver, which
and then you said you wouldn't do because you're not going to wear a speckled sweater.
And then I'm like, maybe I'll wear this speckled sweater because it's a bit gray.
So we'll see.
This is the Drea colorway. It was named after Andrea Mowry, so I'm not sure if she picked the colors or if it was I can't remember if it was a specific custom color for EYF. Nonetheless, I bought lots of skeins of this one. So at first I was going to buy a bunch of different ones, but I'm like, no, just in case I decide to do a sweater.
Right.
So this is grays with a bit of turquoise, a bit of pink, a bit of yellow. So this was really fun. And then we fell down a rabbit hole.
Right, because while we were there, I think that weekend, Andrea Mowry's newest pattern, Rose, was launched.
Yes.
And it uses La Bien-Aimée sport weight yarn. And so all of a sudden we had to buy kits for this.
And Dinah too bought a kit.
And Dinah from the knitting.
So she's like, we should do a knit along. And we're like, yes, let's do it. We've said that before, but we never jumped on it.
Exactly. So do you want to show your version
so look
first?
at what I got. So everyone's laughing at me like, are you actually going to make a sweater in that, Lisa? This is what I got. Great. Like, isn't that crazy? But I swear she was wearing it. One of the girls working there was wearing the sweater, and I'm like here was like all orange and hot pink. I'm like, how fun is that?
I totally wanted it too, but I just knew that I wasn't going to wear it. I don't
know. I guess
it's beautiful. It's fun.
I like looking at color and then I wear black, but maybe I could. I mean, look how fun that is.
If nothing else, you can do a Vertices Unite in that.
If nothing else, exactly, and a different size, and so that's what I chose.
So these were my 4 colors that I chose for mine. So this wasn't an actual
Mine is springy,
kit.
and yours is autumnal.
Mine is definitely autumnal. This will be something I do. So I think this will be my dominant color, and then these will be the cuffs. This will be the cuffs, and then it just sort of moves in a.
It's knit sideways. It's knit from cuff to cuff.
Yeah.
And my dominant color will be a little more subdued. And
I think the cuffs this color on the.
Yes. They're there. I believe it's this
color.
One.
Yeah.
So this is really fun. I have to say I want to cast on, but you have to sort of pay a bit more attention because there's a few things going on at once. So I just need to wrap my head around it. So banana leaf. This is a pattern that I looked at for quite a while. It's called the banana leaf. And it's a really interesting shape and a texture. And the designer of that one is Yuki Ueda. And we were thinking of doing that in our Petit Lin lace weight yarn. So this is a pattern that we're actually going to have knit up by one of our staff members. So aren't those fun colors for spring and summer? So I'm not sure which color we've decided on, but the banana leaf is going to be knit up. And I've seen a couple of customers come into the store.
What color these? I like
wearing
this
the
one
banana
a lot.
leaf. Yeah, I think that was my first original. It's like a minty green.
Yeah.
What's the name of this one? It's called. We didn't give it a name yet. It's probably a new color for the season. Yeah. So we have to. Give it a
maybe
name.
That's why I'm like, what color is that? So these came in just before we left.
So that's one that we're going to have our staff knit up. Maybe I'll show another one that we already. So what we'll do is we'll show maybe ones of the yarns that we already have, and then after that we can go into our new yarn. So the little Meg, just a simple little triangle with this nice eyelet detail.
We saw Helen Stewart wearing that at the Podcaster Lounge at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it hadn't been released, I think, at that point. Has it been released yet?
Yes, it's been released now. So it's called Little Meg, and Françoise is going to knit that up in Madeleine Tosh Light, and it's one of these nice little scarves, neckerchiefs that you can wear indoor with
for spring.
And it's one skein of Madeleine Tosh Light.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's a perfect little one. So those are two with yarns that we the double take tea.
What are we going to knit? We're going to do fern.
Oh, and then we're going to do that one in the Elspeth Lavol.
Oh, in Hempathy? Okay, so Hempathy is a yarn that's been around for quite a while. Oh, we've got...
our barcodes
are right smack in the middle of that. Here, I'll show this one.
Okay, it's a cotton modal blend.
It's a cotton hemp and modal blend. So it's a yarn that is all sort of plant-based. And it has a nice, it's a tight twist. Mm-hmm. It is, what would you say, it's a sport weight?
Yeah, I believe sport DK.
DK sport?
DK.
And so Mona designed this pattern for us a few years ago. It's called the Double Take Tee. And what's interesting about this is that it is exactly the same on the front and back. So you basically knit a front and a back, and then you seam it and then pick up for the little neckline, which is just a small bit of ribbing. And so this was originally done in Habu.
Oh my goodness, wrap merino.
Was it double stranded just around the neck?
Yeah, just the neck is double stranded.
Okay, so we thought it would be nice. We don't carry that yarn anymore. So what we thought was to reinvent the
pattern with some Hempathy.
With the Hempathy.
And some people have actually knit it just in one color. They just want a simple tee.
Or that'll be pretty.
The nice thing is when you do two colors, you can wear it with the darker in the front or the lighter in the front. So it's completely
so it's perfectly reversible, which is kind of cool. And then if you want it to be adventurous, you could sort of add a high contrast neckline for that one. So we'll decide how we're going to do it. We haven't decided on our colors yet for it, but I think it would lend itself well to that yarn. So that's one. And then
this is for the fern.
Okay. Do we have the fern over there? So the fern is a new yarn that we've just got in from Shibui. It's 100% cotton. 100% organic cotton, actually. And it was just, I think it was just released on March 8th, right?
Yeah,
so unfortunately, just before we left, so we weren't able to
talk about
cop a feel and sing its praises. But it is beautiful, a beautiful cotton yarn with a beautiful twist. And we are going to do this pattern called the Notched Hem Tunic, I think. By Tank, okay, by Pearl Soho. And that'll just be a single color.
Yeah, it's nice in the summer to have these like lightweight t-shirts or tank tops, and then you can layer with a little cardigan on top if you wish.
It looked like it had pockets, but it doesn't.
No, it's just the effect of the...
It's just a little variation on a tank, which I quite like.
Then we have the flow, and that's in the Mykonos. So this is a Barocco yarn, and it's a similar yarn.
What was the one that we had? Seduce several years ago.
It was a bit like Captiva as well.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit. It's a blend of linen, nylon, and cotton. So it's a great warm weather yarn, summer weight yarn. It's not going to stick to you. It feels very.
It has a nice little sheen,
and it has enough weight to it that just has this little. You know, it has a nice drape.
It's kind of like a silky, rayon-y feel drape.
Yeah.
And the colors are nice. It's like a kind of a muted sea palette, I would say.
And so we had originally done the flow with the
Seduce.
With the Seduce.
Many years ago.
And it was a great seller because it was just so simple and easy to wear, and people loved it. I think in our store sample we had made it just a little bit longer than this picture.
Yes, I think
so. And we'll probably do that again. So we'll knit up another store sample with that one. I think we had done it in silver. At the time. Yeah. In fact, I'd love to know where that sample is.
I know, our staff was, I'm like, and they're like, I don't know. We're like, that was before your time.
Yeah.
That was when it was just a do-it. Okay, and I think this is the last one, Melissa, that we have on our roster for summer samples.
Okay.
It's the Kyler again. So because we don't have the Gartner right away, we're still waiting to receive our wholesale information on that. We decided in the meantime, it's such a lovely pattern that we're going to like to knit it up in the new tuku wool that we have. Oh. It's so lovely. It fits in. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Those are like fun.
I know. It's
fun
so
kind of Easter spring.
So tuku wool is a yarn from Finland, and you've probably seen it featured. It's been featured quite a lot in Line, which is a magazine that we've referred to several times as Laine, because Laine is French for yarn or wool, and so we've always just called it len, but we've since learned that we're mispronouncing it. It actually means Leine, which is the word for wave. So Tricot wool is featured quite a lot in there in various designs, and so our interest was piqued, and then Julie Asselin here in Montreal actually distributes this yarn, so we were able to get a sample and fell in love with it, and so we brought it in again just before we left on our trip. So we're excited to get knitting with this. So we'll do that, and I've also picked
right here.
Oh, this one, the Plamba. So this is by Junko Okamoto. And we saw a couple of these actually.
At the airport. We saw somebody wearing it.
It was, I think it was Rachel from the Spin Cycle.
We saw
Spin Cycle Yarns was wearing that. But I've seen a couple of versions, and we saw somebody else wearing it at H+H.
At H+H, yes.
I don't know what yarns they used for it, but it looked like it could have been tuku. Anyway,
that's a fingering. And also, it was so funny because when we were at the Isolde booth, we saw Julie Asselin's Nurture yarn.
Oh, Nurture, that was so funny because we've seen it before.
But I guess we weren't in the frame of mind because Julie Asselin, we always think hand-dyed, you know, and she is still hand-dyed, but we just think of the silks, the cashmere, the merino, and we're like... And then they had it a swatch knit up, and I'm like,
oh my god!
So
beautiful.
Right away I send Julie and ask, Julie, we're in the Isolde booth, Nurtured, we want it. She's like, and she sends like laughing emojis.
You've seen it before.
She's like, we'll talk when you guys get back.
Sometimes you just need a new context. You know?
So we're so excited. So that's a yarn that we're looking at, and in terms of adding one of those rustic yarns, but that's more local to us.
Yeah. So as you can hear, we have a lot of ideas for things we'd like to bring in, and we need to expand our store, obviously. We need to create more space somehow. We'll build more
we've been
shelving.
making it work, so that's pretty good. And so maybe just super quickly, just a couple of little new things that we've gotten in the shop in terms of magazines. Oh, and I just Katrinkles. So we got these just before we left, and it was so cute because we saw Katie. We sat with her at the Kaylee.
Yeah, Kaylee on the Friday.
So we have these cute little gauge rulers, and it says "You had me at tricot." And so what's nice is we have inches on this side, we have centimeters on the back, and then we have all the needle sizes in millimeters and in US. So that's a new little gauge ruler, 4-inch for us.
And if you prefer to just have something a little smaller to throw into your notions pouch, then this one also has a needle gauge and the centimeters and inches, but it's just in a more straight
an easy
forward ruler style.
And then we're just restocked with our Kitchener stitch, both in English and French, for our little keychains.
And here's another little keychain to help us. You always have it with you for a 2-inch measurement of your gauge. It says, "You had me at tricot," with our logo on the back.
And then we got just a last little restock before spring knitting of some pom-poms. So we have a few left of the black, the white, and the pink. So that was just, and we saw Donna.
And these are snap-ons.
Yes, these are the snap-ons. And we saw Donna at H+H from Big Bad Wool, and she's working on some little kits for us for baby blankets. So we're looking forward to that.
And then before we left, we received quite a few new publications. So one was the latest Pom-Pom magazine, the Interpretations,
Volume 5.
Yeah, Volume 5 by Hohi Locatelli and Vera Velimaki, the latest knitwear magazine for Spring/Summer 2018, and Leine, I think we've had 2 shipments of this already, actually. Leine for the fourth issue of this magazine, which is just, I mean, they're all beautiful, and they all speak to us in different ways. I haven't had a chance to go through the knitwear. We just saw this on the cache when we walked in this morning. So we haven't looked at this one at all, but and
what's so nice about these magazines, it's even if you're not going to knit the patterns right away, they're just so pretty. They're inspirational. The photography is beautiful. And that's what we've noticed with knitting books. They've gone in this direction of the paper is really beautiful. They really
make you want to collect them.
Yeah, and even if, as I mentioned, you're not going to knit all the patterns, they're so inspirational to sort of bring you to a new way of thinking about your knitting and about your stash and what you can do with that. So it's really nice to see these personal, sort of, small production publishing companies that are doing these beautiful magazine books.
Yep.
And also by designers who we love, and we're knitting their patterns on Ravelry all the time. So for them to have those little books. So I think that kind of wraps up our...
That was a whirlwind. Sorry, we just threw in a few new products right there at the end, but I think
that's good. And one thing we didn't talk about, but maybe we'll talk a bit more, is our
next dream trip.
Our next dream trip is Shetland Wool Week. That happens in Shetland and in the UK at the end of September. And what's really interesting about this week is that it doesn't take place in one location. So it takes place over the region, and there are different activities and events that happen throughout in different visits. And so we'll talk a little bit more about it in a future one.
Oh, we were going to have a giveaway on this podcast as well, ladies.
Yes. So this is just to let you know, it's the end of September, and
maybe we'll be there.
Maybe we'll be there, our next little dream trip. So we have a little giveaway that we wanted to do because of our inspiration with color work. And
color work and, more
our rustic yarns, as we're calling them.
Specific yarns, yeah.
And we're going with a giveaway for something that's a little bit more local, meaning on this side of the pond. So we're going to give away 2 skeins of Brooklyn Tweed Arbor.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in making the mittens by Elliot Skein-Deer, you could make those. And we have a question.
We should give away the pattern as well.
Perfect. We'll give the pattern away.
The pattern for you and include, so you can pick 2 colors of arbor, and 1 skein of each is enough. 2 skeins total is enough to make a pair.
And so we'll include the pattern. And we have a question for you. So we want to ask you what your favorite colorwork project is. So whether you've knit it already, or you're thinking about knitting it, or it's in your queue, or you've just seen it recently. And it's a little bit of a personal reason, because we want to know what people are knitting with their colorwork to inspire us.
Exactly.
So you need to be subscribed to our podcast, and you just have to write the name of the project in the comment section, and then we'll do random number generator, and we'll find a winner, and I guess we'll announce it. Well, we'll contact the person. How do we do that?
When is our deadline then?
So we'll give people until April 16th.
So let's say that again. Because I can cut out all the other bit that makes us look totally unprepared. So we will let people know on April 16th. So you'll have from the time that this podcast goes up until April 16th to leave us a comment and subscribe to our channel, and then we'll make our random selection.
And the comment has to be about you could do any comment you want, but if you'd like to be entered for the draw, you have to let us know a favorite or a colorwork project that you're thinking about.
So we're going to use random number generator, and if we just land on a comment that is not answering that question, we'll just ignore it and move to the next one.
Well, do we generate another one?
Yeah, we'll just generate another one.
And you have to be subscribed. Last few times, the first few people we picked weren't subscribed to the podcast, channel. So make sure you do that. And also, how do we let the person know? Do we leave a reply to their comment?
Yeah.
So you'll need to go back to the comment that you made, and then if you see that you're the winner, then you can contact us and send us an email.
And I think what we'll do is we'll give every time we notify somebody, we'll give like a week.
Yeah,
and if we don't hear from them, then we'll pick again.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because on YouTube, I don't think you can send a personal comment. You can just reply to them.
Right. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. It's been long-winded, but I have to say we just really wanted to share our experiences with you, because we so much appreciate all your support and following in comments that people made about how they kind of feel that they were traveling with us. Right?
Yeah, that was really nice. It made us sort of approach the trip a little bit differently too, in terms of trying to see things from other people's eyes, and remembering to Instagram, and remembering to
show photos of what we're doing and stuff besides.
Be present online,
and not just knitting things too.
Exactly. Just our experience abroad. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
Exactly. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
2, 1, 2, 3, go.